Idle clicker games are simple, addictive, and a great way to learn game development. So let's dive into Godot. And we're gonna start with setting up the gameplay for the game. So I'm gonna start by making this a user interface scene. I'm gonna hit the plus button and I'm gonna search for a button. And I'm gonna select the texture button, double click on that, and then I'm gonna hit the preset for the anchor and I'm gonna center it. We can't see the button right now, so I'm gonna give it a texture, and you can do that inside of the inspector, and there we have textures. And I'm gonna open that up and I'm gonna drag in my icon into the normal, and now I can see the button. Next I'm gonna select the control node, which is the node at the top, and I'm gonna hit the plus button again and search for a label, and I'm gonna add a label. I'm gonna anchor this at the center top, and I'm gonna give it some text, and I'm just gonna put in 100, and I'm gonna drag this down a little bit from the bottom, and then I can drag down the top. I think I want it something like this, and let's start by setting this up so it works. So I'm gonna select the control node and I'm gonna attach a script, and I'm gonna call this script clicker, and I'm gonna attach it. Let's start by connecting a signal from the texture button. So I'm gonna select the texture button and go to the node tab, and here we have signals. I'm gonna connect the pressed signal, and I'm gonna connect it to the node with the script attached to it and hit connect. When we click on the button, which is the Godot logo, we want to add a 1 to the label each time we click it. And in here we can make the score plus equal 1 each time we click it. And we haven't declared a score, so let's do that at the top of here. So we do var for variable, and we're gonna call this score, and at the start we want it to be equal to 0. And in the ready function we can remove the pass, and then we can drag in the label into the script, and then we want to change its text to be the score. So we can just do label.text, and then we can make it equal to the string, and the string of text we want to make it equal to is the score. And we can copy this and we can paste it below the score after we add 1. And that's all we need for the basics of the game. So I'm gonna save this scene as clicker, and I'm gonna hit the run scene button or F6 to play the game, and a window will pop up, and if we click on the Godot logo it should add 1 each time we click, and so it does. So we have a basic clicker game right here where it adds 1 for each click. I'm gonna close this window down and let's add some more functionality. I'm freestyling this tutorial, so next I think you want to add an upgrade that gives you more for each time you click on the Godot logo. So I'm gonna hit the plus button and I'm gonna search for a container, and I'm gonna add the hbox container. And you can see on the symbol of it the way it will arrange the children that it will have later. So I'm gonna hit create, and I'm gonna hit the anchor preset again, and I'm gonna select the center bottom. Then I'm gonna hit Ctrl A while selecting the hbox container, and I'm gonna search for a button, and I'm gonna add the button. In here on the text, I'm gonna right click and select emojis and symbols. I'm gonna search for finger, and I like the one pointing up, so I'm gonna select that, and then I'm gonna give it a cost, and I want it to cost 10. And then I want to move this up a little bit, so I'm gonna select the hbox container and drag it up a little bit, and the bottom as well. I'm gonna hold Alt and drag out the sides, and I think I want it something like this. And I think the button upgrade is too small, so I'm gonna select the button and go to layout, and I'm gonna increase the custom minimum size on the X to, let's say, 100. I think that's still a little bit too small. I'm gonna try 150, and I think that's perfect. And next I'm gonna rename the button, so I'm gonna double click on it and I'm gonna rename it to upgrade, click and button. Then I'm gonna go to the signals and connect the pressed signal from the upgrade click button to the control node, and let's remove the pass. And each time we click on the upgrade we want to make the click plus equal 1, so we earn 1 more for each click, and we haven't declared a click, so let's go up to the top again. Under score we can do var click equals 1, and each time we hit the upgrade we will add 1. And instead of adding a +1 for each time we click on the texture button, we will add the click. So now each time we click on it, it will add as much as the click is. So if we try the game out now, we will get 1 for each time we click. So I'm gonna click on it once. And if I get the upgrade, I'm gonna get 2 now. And I do. And if I hit it 3 more times, 1, 2, 3, I should get 4. I had 1 and added 1 and then added 3. So I got 5. So you see it's working. But we don't want to get infinite upgrades. So we need to give the upgrade a cost. So I'm gonna close the game down. For each time we click the button, let's make it cost a little bit more and also give a little bit more. Instead of adding 1, let's just multiply it by 2. So let's make the click equals click multiplied by 2. And let's also make a cost variable. So under the click, I'm gonna do var cost and let's start at 10. And before we upgrade it, we want to check if the score is more or equal than the cost, then we will upgrade, and we will also subtract the score minus equal the cost. And let's make the cost equal the cost multiplied by 2.5. And then we can update the button. And I'm gonna right click on the button and access as unique name. I'm gonna drag it down below here and do dot text equals the string. And let's add some quotation marks. And let's right click in between those and add an emoji. And I'm gonna add a pointing up emoji. Go outside of this and I'm gonna hit the plus button, plus string, and then cost. And that should work. So if I try it again, I'm gonna get 10 clicks. Then I'm gonna hit the upgrade. And for some reason it didn't change the score. It actually did, but we forgot to upgrade the label. And we can just do as we did before. So that's the label.text equals the string.score. So let's do that as well below here. So I'm gonna play it one more time. If we get a couple clicks in here, we can get the upgrade. And you saw that it's subtracted here and it changed the upgrade cost. I can't click on it anymore and now I get 2 for each click. I'm gonna get 30 and if I get the upgrade, I have 5. And I don't want the cost to be a float. So you see that it starts out at 10 and then it says 25.0. If I don't want it to say 0.0, I can just put int before the cost. And then I'm gonna add parentheses around the cost. And now it should be a int. And I had to add another one at the end here because they need to be wrapped. So I'm gonna run it again. And if I get the upgrade now, it doesn't have a 0.0. So that's one upgrade finished. I'm gonna go back to the 2D view and let's add another upgrade. I'm gonna select the upgrade click button and I'm gonna Control D to duplicate it. I'm gonna rename this button to, let's call it farm button. And instead of a pointing finger, let's see if I can find a farm. And I'm gonna add a farmer. The farmer's cost should probably be something higher, let's say 20. And as a child of the farm button, let's hit the plus button and add a timer. And let's set the time to 1 second. It's already set, so we don't have to do anything there. And let's go to the upgrade farm button, go to the node and signals. And since we duplicated it, it shares the same function as the last one. So we have to right click on it and disconnect it. And then we can connect the press signal again to the script and hit connect. We should now get a new function. And on this function, we want to add another variable for this one's cost. So var farm underscore cost. And I'm gonna rename the old cost to click underscore cost. And I'm gonna replace the old costs with click cost. So instead of cost, click cost. And farm cost should start at 20. And now we can check if the score is more or equal than the farm cost. Then we can do colon. And if it is, we want to start the timer. And before I do that, I'm gonna right click on it and do access as unique name. I'm actually gonna rename it to farm timer. I'm gonna drag it into the script and I'm gonna do start. And let's also add how much the farm timer will give. So I'm gonna make a new variable and I'm gonna call this var and click underscore farm. And I'm gonna start this at 1. So after we start the timer, we can actually just copy everything from the old upgrade and let's paste it below here. And instead of the clicks, we want the click farm. So the click farm should be equal to the click farm multiplied by 2. And instead of the click cost, we have the farm cost. And let's replace the old click costs with farm cost. And let's replace the emoji with the farmer. So I'm gonna put the farmer here. And I actually don't want it to give 2 at the start since we're multiplying it. So I'm gonna make the click farm 0, and then I'm gonna check if the click farm is equal to 0. So we have to check if it's equal, and if it's 0, we do colon, and if it is, we will just do click farm and plus equal 1, and else we can multiply it by 2. So for the first upgrade, it will just add 1, and after that, it should multiply the value by 2 each upgrade. And let's make the cost actually multiplied by 3 on this one. I think that's pretty good. Now we can select the farm timer and go to the node tab and on signals, and let's connect the timeout signal to the control node and hit connect. And inside of here, we want to get the score, and we can do plus equal 1. So now it should give 1 for each second that it times out. So if we run the game now, let's get a couple of clicks. So now we can get the upgrade, and now we should get 1 for each second. We're actually getting 1 for each second, but we're forgetting to upgrade the label. So let's copy this and update the label, and let's run it one more time. Click on it a couple times, get the upgrade, and it should go up by 1 each second. I made a small mistake here where I'm actually updating the wrong button, and we can fix that by closing this down. And it's not supposed to be the percentage upgrade click button, so we're gonna remove that, and I'm actually gonna drag in the upgrade farm button instead. And now if I try it for the last time, I think I'm gonna get a couple score again and get the upgrade, and it got the correct one. It changed it from 20 to 60, and it adds 1 each second, and it seems to be working correctly. And if we wanted to, we could also make the score not have a decimal in it. So if we go up to the top, we can actually set a type. So before we make it equal to something, we can do a colon, and we can put int in here and then equal to 0. And now it shouldn't be equal to anything else. We could actually have done that for the click costs as well, so we wouldn't have to enter it down here, but it's fine. That's about it that I wanted to do for the gameplay. Now I'm gonna do some polishing. So let's start by centering things better. So I'm gonna show the grid by clicking on the use grid snap, and I'm actually gonna label on this grid instead, and I'm gonna fill the entire grid. And on the alignment, I'm gonna center it on the horizontal and center it on the vertical. I'm gonna go down to the upgrades. This one I will also center, so something like that I'm pretty happy with. And next I want to replace the Godot logo. So I'm gonna open up the browser and I'm gonna search for a banana, and then we can do CC0, go to the images, and this one looks fine. I'm gonna save it as a PNG and hit save, and then I'm gonna drag it into my game. So I'm gonna drag it in here into the files, and now I have a banana here. Go to the texture button and the normal, and it's pretty big. So on the stretch mode, I'm gonna hit scale, and I'm also gonna click on ignore texture size. That lets me change the size of the button. So I'm gonna center it. You actually have to press Shift and Alt to scale all the sides at the same time. I'm gonna make it something like this, and I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna move it a little bit more so it looks more centered. I think that looks centered. And then I don't want just a banana. I'm gonna go to the website Pixlr. So I'm gonna drag in the banana into the Pixlr editor. It's my preferred image editor, and I'm gonna create a new. And I want this to be white. So I'm gonna go into the adjustments and hue and saturation. I'm gonna turn the lightness to the max and apply that. Then I'm gonna go to the file and save, and I'm gonna save this as a PNG, and that's inside of my downloads. So I'm gonna drag this into the game as well. I had to rename the image because it shared the same name as the old one. So rename them to banana and banana underscore white. And then on the textures, I'm gonna put the pressed one as white. They look the same, but they're different. And I want a click mask, so I can't click outside of the banana and only on the banana. So I'm gonna select the banana white, and I'm gonna duplicate it, and I'm gonna call it banana underscore mask. So banana underscore mask. I'm gonna click on the banana mask and go to the import tab, and I'm gonna import it as a bitmap instead of a texture 2D, and I'm gonna import it and hit OK. Go back to the texture button and I'm gonna drag in the banana mask into the clip mask. And if I open it up, it looks something like this. It's pretty weird. Hopefully it works. I'm gonna run the scene, and I'm trying to click outside of the banana, and I can't. If I click right here, I can't. But if I click on the banana, it flashes. So it's actually working. It seems to have some small artifacts at the bottom, but it's barely noticeable. It can be a little bit annoying with this much flashing, so maybe I should add an option to remove the flashing. But let's continue for now. So to make it a little bit more polished, I'm gonna add another node, and this will be our particles. And let's make a GPU particles 2D. I'm gonna hit create, and right now it's over here. So let's go into the process material and make a new particle process material. And let's open that up. Let's see how I can give it a texture. Okay, it's right here. So the texture, I'm gonna just drag in the banana as the texture. Let's go to the spawn. On the angle, make the max 720. Then I'm gonna go to the velocity. Let's make the initial velocity 500. Oops, I'm gonna turn the max back to 500. No, it's not letting me change it. I think it's bugged for some reason. I can't click outside of here. I'm gonna save the scene and close it down and open it up again. Okay, now I can click outside of here. So I'm gonna make the spread the max value. So now it will shoot out in all directions. And then I'm gonna go to the display, and under scale, I'm gonna make a scale curve and a new curve texture. I'm gonna open up the curve. I want it to be a lot smaller at start and shrink into nothing at the end. This is already pretty nice, but I want it to be even smaller. Let's make it something like that. And let's move the GPU particles. So I'm gonna select it with the pointer, and on this red symbol, I'm just gonna move it over the banana. And I want it to be behind the banana, so I'm gonna drag it at the top of the scene tree. Now it's behind the banana. And I don't want it to shoot out bananas all the time. I want it to be each time I click. So I'm gonna go into the time, and I'm gonna set it to one shot. And now each time when it emits, it should shoot out a couple bananas. On second thought, I don't think you wanna make it one shot. Instead, I'm gonna have it on emitting, but change the amount ratio from 0 to 1 and then back to 0 for each time you click it. So a couple bananas will come out each time. I think that's a pretty smart idea, instead of having it to shoot out differently, because that can cause different issues where you have to reset it because you can't spam click on emitting. It won't let you. And then on the script and in here, I want to change the amount ratio when I click on the button. So that's the texture button. And whenever I press it, I'm gonna drag in the GPU particles 2D and do dot amount ratio. I'm gonna make it equal to 1.0, and then I'm gonna await get 3 dot create timer, and I'm gonna make it 0.2, and then I'm gonna do dot timeout. This will make a timer inside of the code, and that timer will be 0.2 seconds, and it will wait for it to timeout. And after it timeouts, we can set the GPU particle amount back to 0. So I'm gonna make it 0.0. And since this is before the updating of the score, it's actually gonna mess with that. So I'm gonna actually put all of this below the updating of the score. So I'm gonna put it down here. It will actually be 1 at the beginning. So in the ready function, I'm also gonna set it to 0. And I'm gonna run the scene. And now if I press on the banana, I should see a couple bananas come out of the banana. And if I click on it a lot, they should continue to come. Let's close down that. I'm gonna do one more thing with the particles. It's whenever I upgrade the click button, I'm gonna increase the GPU particles amount. So amount equals the GPU particles amount, and then I'm gonna multiply it by, let's say, 1.2. And for the example, I'm gonna multiply it by 10, and that's gonna do a lot. So if I get the upgrade, it should shoot out a lot of bananas. It could look like that when you have a lot of upgrades later. I'm actually gonna just multiply it by 1.2. And I want to make the score and the upgrades look a little bit nicer. And I want to add a nice font to my game. So I'm gonna search for free font. And I think Google has some nice fonts. Let's see if they have one called Banana. Banana. They don't. Let's see if they have one called Bana. They have a lot of fonts. I'm just gonna see if I find one I like. I think this font fits pretty nicely with the banana theme. So I'm gonna get this font and I'm gonna download the bottom one. I think I like it more. So I'm gonna hit the download button and I get the zip folder. I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna extract it. So right click and extract here. The name of this one was Denk1 regular. So I'm gonna drag in the Denk1 regular into my project and I'm gonna go to the project and project settings and search for a font. And on the theme, I'm gonna add a custom font and that's the Denk1 regular. Hit save and restart. And now everything in my game is using this font. Another thing you wanna do is make the label look a little bit nicer. And I want to add some outline and I also want to make the text bigger. So I'm going to scroll down here until I find, let's just search for it. So font, and it should be theme overrides. So let's make the font size, I think I like 25. And let's search for outline, and that's on constants, outline size. And I'm going to make the outline size, let's make that 20. And let's go into the buttons and I'm going to scroll down until I find the theme override. And I'm gonna make a style. So open up the styles, go to the normal and make a new style box flat. It will change the look of it a little bit. And I think you wanna make the background of it something brown, something that looks like wood. So maybe something like that. And I'm gonna change the corners. I'm gonna make the corners a little bit rounded. I'm gonna make them all 20. So I'm gonna paste 20 on all of them. Let's add some shadow. Let's try 10. And I want shadow below. So I'm gonna add some offset to it, and I think that's pretty good. And let's add a border around it. So I'm gonna make the border width, let's say 5 on each of these. I'm gonna make this a little bit darker of the same color that we chose previously. So I'm gonna paste it in here and make it a little bit darker. Maybe something like that. And I also wanna make the same changes that we did before for the size and the outline. So I'm gonna search for font sizes, and I'm gonna try different sizes. I think 25 works pretty well for this as well. I think that's the same we chose for the other one. Yeah, it was. Let's make the top one actually 40, and it may clip if we get too high of a number. So I'm gonna drag out the edges to the edge of the screen, and now it won't be able to clip outside of that. I'm gonna go back to the button and search for outline. On constraints, let's add, let's say 10 on the outline. 20 is pretty good. And I think the button is looking pretty good, but I want to do a little bit nicer effect when we click on it. So I'm gonna copy the theme for the normal and I'm gonna paste it on the pressed one. And since I copied it from the normal, I have to make it unique. Otherwise they will be connected, sort of them being linked to each other. So if I update one, the other one will update as well. And I don't want it for this one. So I need to do the drop down arrow. And then I need to hit make unique, and then I can open it up again and go to the expand margins. Let's set the top to 10. So we're gonna go to the focus and give it a empty style box. And for the normal, I'm gonna copy that once more and put that on the hover one. So I'm gonna play it again, and when I click the button, it actually moves up a little bit. Let's go back to the normal and let's see if I can move up the text as well. And I can actually do that if I change the content margins on the bottom one. So now I know how to do that. I'm gonna go back to the pressed one, and on content margins bottom, I'm gonna make this 10. Now the text should go up as well. So if I hit it, they both go up, and it's looking pretty good. And I definitely know that I'm hitting it right now. Maybe it should change color as well to signal that I'm pressing it. Could make it a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna drag them up, and I'm gonna do the same for the border. I'm gonna try that. I'm just winging it right now. Yeah, I think that's what I wanna do for the theme. Let's copy this theme over to the other upgrade. So I'm just gonna copy the pressed one and paste it to this one. So theme overrides, styles and pressed, paste, and I'm gonna copy the normal and I'm gonna paste the normal on the normal and hover. And for the focus, I'm gonna make a new one and a empty one. And for this one I also have to add the size, so font and font size. I think I made it 25, let's double check here. And outline as well, outline and 20. Now they look the same. I'll play it one more time. And when I click on them, look like that. I think that's pretty good. I think you want to add a background to the banana now. And for that I actually have an old tutorial I made. And in the comments of it, I have the shader code. I'm gonna copy the code from this video. And I'm gonna go back to the game and I'm gonna hit the control node and add a color rect. and I'm gonna hit the anchor preset, and I'm gonna make it full rect. I'm gonna put it at the top of the screen, so it's behind everything else. And I'm gonna make the color something green for now, so it's not as annoying on the eyes. And then I'm gonna go to the material and make a new shader material, open it up and make a new shader. I'm gonna call this shader scroll and hit create. Then I have to click on the shader, and we have some shader code in here. I'm just gonna hit Ctrl A and paste in the code I copied. And it's black right now. I'm gonna drag it down because I have to give it some colors. So if I open up the shader parameters, I can give it some colors. Let's see if I find a green I like. I'm gonna copy this green and paste it on the middle one. And I think I want it a little bit darker. And a third one that's even darker than both of them. I think the bottom color should maybe be the brightest one. And I'm gonna see if I can make them a little bit darker than that. I'm gonna go back to Pixlr and I'm gonna copy the banana. So I'm gonna select it and Control C. And then I'm gonna do File, New Image. And I'm gonna make the size of this 512 by 512. And then I'm gonna hit create. And I'm just gonna paste the banana in here. I'm gonna scale it down a little bit and center it. Let's see if I can center it. Something like this. Doesn't have to be exact. I'm gonna go to the adjustments, and on hue and saturation, I'm gonna make this the lowest, which is black. Then I'm gonna hit the plus button here and make a new shape. And this will fill the entire screen. And I'm gonna put it below the banana. And I'm gonna change the color to white. And then I'm just gonna save this image as a PNG, and I guess I can call it just background. Let's drag in the banana I just made. It looks something like this. Go back to the color rect and drag in this as the texture. And it's a little bit oddly shaped right now. So that's the ratio. And then I can change the size of them. And I'm actually make it brighter. I'm gonna try this color instead for all of them. I'm gonna make this a little bit darker. Maybe something like that. And this bottom one, make it like that. And let's try the pattern color. And I think this should be the darkest of them all. Maybe something like that. I'm just changing the scale of this to change how big they are. And I think something like maybe 3 or 4 bananas visible at the time is the sweet spot for me. I think this is about perfect. And the ratio, that's just adjusting to your liking. Because if you make it, you can make them very thin or very thick. And you can even make them upside down. I kind of like that as well, but I'm gonna make them like the normal one. So a value I think works well is like 0.4 to 0.5. It doesn't have to be exact. I think the green is still a little bit too bright, so I'm gonna make it just a little bit darker. And I'm gonna make this a little bit darker as well. I think that's actually pretty perfect. One more thing I can do now to make it even better is add some shake to the button when I click on it. And there's a really nice plugin for that, which I'm gonna go to the asset library and I'm gonna search for shake, and it's the shaker plugin. I'm gonna click on it and hit download, and then I'm gonna hit install. I'm gonna hit OK and go back to the 2D view. I'm gonna hit the project and project settings and go into the plugins and hit enable to enable the plugin. After I have done that, I can close this down and hit the plus button and search for shake. And we have a shaker component 2D. I'm gonna hit that and hit create. I'm gonna drag this on top of the texture button, and it's giving a warning right now. Parent node must be a node 2D. So we're gonna add a node 2D, and I'm gonna make the texture button a child of the node 2D. And I'm also gonna make the shaker component a child of the node 2D as well. Now it's not giving a warning. And I'm gonna make a new shaker preset, and I'm gonna go to the position shake and hit add element. And on the size 1, I'm gonna make it a sine wave, and I'm gonna open up the sine wave, and let's increase the amplitude. I'm gonna make it like 5 and 5. Let's try that. And if I hit the play button, I can see that it's going around and around. And if I make let's see if I can change the duration. I'm gonna try to make it 0.1 second. And now it just shakes. I think I like how that is. So I'm gonna go to the control node and close down the output. And when I press the button, I want to make the shaker component play. I'm gonna right click on the shaker component 2D, and I'm gonna access as unique name. I'm gonna drag it into the script on the button pressed and do play shake. And that's all I have to do, I think. for the shake. So I'm gonna run it, and when I press it, it shakes and it flashes and a couple of bananas shoot out. I can even get the upgrade and it's pretty nice. I'm not sure if I like the flashing of it, but you can always disable that by just changing the texture. So I'm gonna try with the normal one without the flashing, and now it just shakes and shoots out a couple of bananas. And I think I want to do a couple more things. I want to add sound effects, music, and also show the amount that we earn for each click when we click on the banana. Let's add a new label. I'm gonna hit the plus button and add a label. I'm gonna create it, and this will say +1. I'm gonna hit the anchor preset and I'm gonna center it. So I'm gonna go to the font. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it 20. Let's add some outline. I think 15 is pretty good for this, maybe. Or maybe it shouldn't have an outline, since the banana doesn't have outline. Let's start with that. And let's go to the script. What should I call this label? I'm gonna rename the label to, which is the one that shows how much we earn, to, let's say, earn label. And whenever we press on the button, go back to the script, and I'm gonna make the earn label dot position equal the mouse underscore position. Let's try the get global mouse position. And I think it should update to the mouse position when I click on it now. So I'm gonna try that. And yes, it does. So when I click on the banana, it puts it where the mouse is. And instead of having it on this scene, I'm gonna make a new scene. I'm gonna make it a user interface scene. I'm gonna add a regular control node. And as a child of that control node, I will add a label. And I'm gonna put in here +1 for now. Then I'm also gonna add a animation player and hit create. I'm gonna click on animation and make new and hit OK. I'm gonna set the animation length to 0.3. I'm gonna hold control and scroll into the animation. Now I can see more of it. And I'm gonna select the label and I'm gonna increase the font size. So I'm gonna search for font, theme overrides, font size, and set it to 20. Then I'm gonna select the control node and let's see if I can find position under layout, transform. At the start, I will key it at the initial position. So I'm gonna hit key. Then I'm gonna go to the end of the animation. Then I'm gonna move up the Y. So that's minus, let's try minus, let's say 25. And I'm gonna make a key. Then I'm gonna go back to the start of the animation. So that's 0.0. I'm gonna go to scale, and that's under transform. At the start, I actually want it to be 0, so we can't see the label. So I'm gonna key that at the start and actually at the end as well. So I'm gonna go to the end and make another key. And then I'm gonna enter the time I want to be at. So I want to be at 0.05. And on here, I want to make another key. So I'm gonna hit the reset button to get the initial values for 1 and make a new key here. Then I'm gonna move to 0.2 and I'm gonna reset the values as well and make it 1. And if I play the animation now, it scales up, moves up, and then fades out. I think it should move up a little bit more. So I'm gonna go to the position and I'm gonna increase the value. So let's try -50 instead. Let's play it. I think that looks pretty good. I'm actually gonna increase the size of it a little bit more on the label font size. So I'm gonna search for font again and let's try 30. Play the animation and it looks okay. I'm gonna click on autoplay on load on the animation. I'm gonna save the scene as earn_label. I'm gonna rename this node to earn label, and this control node is actually more of an anchor. So anchor, and obviously I don't want it to say +1 all the time. This should change. So I'm gonna make a new script on the root node, and this can be the earn label GD script. I'm actually gonna right click on the label and access as unique name. And inside of the script, I'm just gonna remove all the functions and I'm gonna make a new one instead. So func, and this can be update_label, and then parentheses and colon. And I want to pass along a value to this function. So this can be the amount, and then I drag in the label into the script. Then I can do .text equals the string, and then I do quotation marks. I want to have a plus at the beginning, and then I also want to add some more text. I have to do plus and then str, and then amount. So now it will show a plus and then the amount that I give it. And now that should work. I'm gonna go back to the clicker scene, go to its script, and at the very top, I'm gonna make a new variable, which I'm gonna call instance. Then I'm gonna make another one, variable earn underscore label, and this is equal to a preload. And the preload is the earn label scene, so that's .tcn. And after I make the preload, I'm gonna go down to the texture, and when I press the banana, I want to make the instance equals the earn label dot instantiate. And after I instantiate it, I want to do as I did before, where I made a label's position equal to the mouse position. But instead of the label, I'm gonna make it the instance. And then I'm also going to get the instance, and then I'm gonna call the function we made in that one script. And I called it update label. So I'm gonna copy that and call update label. And then since we have an amount for the parameter, I wanna pass that to the function. And that's the click, I think. Let's see, yeah, that's the click we wanna pass along. We're instancing the label, and we call the function and give it the value, and then we set the position. I forgot to add it as a child, so I'm gonna do add underscore child and then instance. And now we're actually adding it as a child, so now it should work. So I'm gonna play it again. I saw it once, but then I wasn't able to see it again. Why can't I click over here? So something's in the way. I think it's the old label maybe. I'm gonna remove the old label from the scene. I'm gonna play the game again. And for some reason my mouse is blocked, I think. I'm gonna go to the 2D. This disables the input, but I can know what I'm clicking. And it says that I'm clicking on the root control 9 root. It could be this one. Yeah, I think the earn label that we're adding is actually blocking the view. So I can select the earn label and search for mouse. And then on filter, I can set it from stop to ignore. And I'm gonna do the same for the anchor, so ignore. And now it shouldn't block my mouse. So I'm gonna play the game again, and now it's actually on the banana. So it should work now again. So if I click on the banana, adds a 1. Wherever I click on the banana, if I get the upgrade and click on the banana, it shows a 2. And let's get the upgrade again, and it says a 4. Get the upgrade one more time, 8, and so on. I'm actually pretty happy with how the game is right now. Maybe it's a little bit too easy to get the upgrades, but you can adjust that if you want to. And now there's not that much more that I want to add to the game actually. Some sound effects and some music, and I can show how I usually do that. So I go to the internet and I search for free sound, and there's an awesome website called freesound.org. Then let's search for banana, and let's sort it by short. So duration shortest first. I really like this one, the tier one. Yeah, it CC 0, so it's fine to download and use. I now downloaded the sound effect, and I'm gonna drag it into my project. And I'm gonna select the control node, hit the plus button and search for audio. And I wanna add an audio stream player 2D. On the inspector, drag in the sound effect into the stream. So I'm gonna rename this to banana tier, and then I'm gonna drag it into the stream. So now if I hit play on the audio stream player, you should hear it. But I don't want it to sound the same all the time when I click on it. And a nice way to have it make a random sound each time you press on it is to hit the drop down arrow. And then you select the new audio stream randomizer. Open it up and go into the streams and add element. And here you add the sound effect, same as before. We drag it in, and here we can set a random pitch. So I'm gonna make it 1.2. And if we hit play, we can hear the difference. It sounds a little bit different each time. I'm also going to increase the bass pitch, so I'm going to try to make it 1.5. And I think I like that a lot. And I'm going to go into the script, and when we click on the button, drag in the audio stream player at the top and do .play, and this should play the sound effect when we hit the button. So I'm gonna run the game now, and when we hit the banana, we hear the banana sound. And then I want to add a sound effect for the upgrades as well, so I'm gonna see if I can find one. Upgrade, and I'm gonna filter them by CC0. Instead of upgrade, I'm gonna see if I can find something on wood. I think this one, Iron Wood Slam, works perfectly for my game. So I'm gonna download it, drag it into the game, and close this down. see the iron wood slam. I'm just gonna call it wood slam, wood underscore slam. Add another audio stream player, and this one I will call the upgrade audio stream player 2D. And the first one I will call click audio stream player. I'm gonna go to the stream and I'm gonna make another randomizer. Gonna make the random pitch 1.2, add an element, and it's at the bottom here, wood slam. I'm gonna drag it in here, try to play it, and I think it's a little bit too slow for my liking. So I'm going to try by changing the pitch scale to, let's try 2, and then do play. I'm gonna change it to 3, maybe that's better. I actually think 3 is pretty good for this one. And I can select the upgrade buttons and go to their signal pressed, and in here I'm gonna drag it into the script as I did with the last one, and then do .play. I'm gonna copy this code and paste it inside of the farm button upgrade as well. And if I play it now, it should play the sound effect when I hit the upgrades. And when I click on the banana, my game crashes because there is an error, because I renamed the audio stream player 2D to click and then audio stream player 2D. And now I can click on everything. I think the upgrade sounds are maybe a little bit too loud, so I'm gonna lower their volume dB by -5. And to be honest, it's actually pretty satisfying right now. I'm gonna add some music as well. I'm gonna search for jungle and music, and maybe they have some music that I can loop. A fun fact, this Onfa guy, he makes some nice tutorials and he's working on some game. I've seen him a couple times on the freesound.org. I guess he used to make sound effects. I think I found the perfect sound effect actually. Minimalist monkey, I really like it. CC0, perfect. I'm gonna download it, import it to my project, and here we have the minimalist monkey. I'm gonna rename the file to minimalist underscore monkey. So I'm gonna add that last audio stream player 3D, or 2D, I'm sorry. Drag in the minimalist monkey, and I'm gonna set it to autoplay. I'm gonna see that it's the correct loudness. It might be a little bit too loud, so I'm gonna lower it to, let's say, -10. And I'm gonna play it. We have the music. We can click the banana to earn bananas. We can upgrade our clicks to earn more. And we can get a farmer that farms for us. And it slowly goes up. Upgrade the click again. And let's upgrade the farmer. I think one thing with the farmer is that it's still giving me 1 for each second. So that's actually a bug fix we can do. So let's see if I can find a farm. And let's see here. So the click underscore farm. We can do some debugging here. So print, and I usually just put random values in here and to figure out what's going on. And I'm also gonna print the click farm outside of here. So I'm gonna run the game again to see what's wrong, because it seems like it was still just adding 1. I'm gonna get the upgrade really quick so I can try it. And if I check the debug, it says 1, 1. I'm gonna try to get the upgrade again. And it says 2, but does it give me 2? No, it still gives me 1 for each. It's actually a problem with the timeout, I think. Yeah, it's adding a score of 1, when it shouldn't actually be adding a score of 1, it should be adding the click farm. So now it's working. So that's some debugging for you, because everything seemed right when it was in here. But then when I look down here, it said 1 for adding it. So I can remove the print statements and play the game again. Farm some bananas, get the upgrade, and let's get the farmers. And for the second upgrade I should get 2, so let's try that. And it's working. I could add some minus for the upgrade. So it says like -62 when I get the upgrade. That could be I guess, challenge for you to try to add after this project. That would be similar to how we add the +4 when we click on the mouse, but for the buttons. So you would add it above the button, and then you would probably want to change the text color to red. And some last few things we could do with the project are to export it to itch.io. So I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna go to the general tab, and on window I'm actually gonna make it full screen. So full screen and see that it works. The banana isn't anchored to anything, so it's not actually working as I want it to. So I can actually just go to project settings and scroll down a little bit, and on the stretch I can make this canvas items and keep the aspect. All 2D things will be the same size as they were in the game window. And now the game is finished, I think. And last things there are to do are to organize the game a little bit. So I'm gonna rename the root node, which is the node at the top, to clicker. And let's see, is this control node used? I don't think so. I'm gonna delete it, and I think it's fairly organized. I could rename this to music, drag it up to the top, and I can change the color rect to be called background color rect. And now it's fairly optimized and organized. One small optimization I actually thought about is removing the earned label after it's finished, because what we're doing now is we are adding the label to the scene and we make it big and then we make it small, but it's still inside of the scene, it's just not visible. But what we can do is remove it from the scene after it's finished, so we can just make a new function in the script here, make a function remove parentheses and colon, and I'm just gonna Q3, and that's all I have to do actually for the function. Then I have to select the animation player, go to the end of the animation at 0.3, hit add track, and we want to call method track, and we want to call from the earn label, that's the one that has the function. Hit OK, and then we right click in here and we do insert key, and we select the void remove function that we made and hit open. And now at the end it removes it. We can even make a print statement here to just make sure that it's actually removing it. So print yes, and we can play the game. Right now it's full screen, but if I click around a little bit and then close the game, I got a bunch of yes, so it's actually removing the thing from the scene. I'm gonna organize the files a little bit in the game, add a folder for assets. I'm gonna make one for scenes and one for scripts, and all of these are actually textures. I'm gonna drag them into assets. The sound effects are actually assets as well, so they go into assets. The .gd things go into scripts, and the font is actually an asset as well. And then we have this last two scenes, which I'm gonna drag into scenes. For some reason, I think my game is crashing. No, it worked, but I think it dragged into the wrong location. No, it didn't actually. Then I'm gonna drag in the scenes into the scenes folder. And then I like to right click on folders and set a folder color. I'm just gonna set it to red and then green and then blue for RGB. After organizing your project, it's probably gonna crash because the path for the earn label is wrong. And that's because we put it inside of the scenes folder. So it has a new path now, earn underscore label, and get a new path for it. And now if you run it, it should work again. And if you want to expand on this game, another upgrade you could add could be that random bananas spawn on the screen and you have to click on them and you get a bunch of bananas if you do, maybe a crate or something. And if you make this upgrade, maybe let's say every 10 seconds a box spawns on the screen, and if you click on it you get a bunch of bananas. Let's say, I don't know, 50 bananas. I think that could be a really cool upgrade. And this project will be on h.io for anyone to try out, linked in the description. And the source code for this project will be on GitHub. This was my first longer tutorial where I make a more completed game, and I would very much appreciate if you would leave a comment if you have any suggestions on how I could improve making these tutorials, and if you have any suggestions. Oh yeah, I wanted to showcase one last thing that I thought was a little bit funny. For this tutorial I actually made a 3D model of a banana. I originally planned on making this tutorial in 3D, but then I realized it's a lot more simple to make it in 2D. So thanks for watching, and special thanks to my members. For source code, custom videos or coaching, check out my Ko-Fi, and I'll see you in the next one.